This is Season 2, Episode 12 of the Teal Sports Talk podcast. I'm your co-host, Evan Brown. Like always, that's your host, James Price of Teal Sports Talk. Opening day for the Blue Jays. The season opener has arrived finally. But first, we have a trade to announce. Kendrys Morales has been traded to the Oakland Athletics and cash considerations for minor league infielder Jesus Lopez and an international signing bonus, whatever that means. Minor deal. What is your take on this? Because I know once we got rid of Edwin 2 years ago, this was the next best option, signing Morales. Okay, maybe he can get you 25, 30 home runs. Didn't happen, but at the end of last year, he really started to turn it on. But at the end of the day, he was a DH, a designated hitter, didn't really do much. So what's your take on it?
Well, as for this deal, I mean, Kendrys Morales, like you said, last year of his contract, 35 years old. I mean, look, he got brought over, like you said, to replace Edwin. You think switch hitter who's going to hit a lot of home runs, can play first base, DH. You think, oh, Edwin Encarnacion, but a switch hitter? Wow, I'm sold. Well, we did realize pretty quickly, though, that he's had a lot of holes in his swing, and he really wasn't an Edwin Encarnacion 2.0. But you do trade him to Oakland with cash. Jesus Lopez is just a 22-year-old infielder at A-ball. He's not nothing too special. And the international signing bonus slot, I think, is the part that I like the most, just because when players go out and sign guys from Japan and guys from the Dominican Republic and guys like that, they need the signing bonus.
Right.
And for the Jays to get a little bit of some extra space in there, it's nice. I mean, really, it's nothing crazy, but it's more or less just for a roster spot move. And with this trade being made, like I said, that opens up the roster spot.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy we've been all loving since last year, we're going to be getting Rowdy this year. Rowdy Tellez makes the team now because of this trade.
The big man. I would have expected him to make the team even if this trade didn't happen, just on the way he performed last season.
But you don't want three first basemen.
Agreed.
Right?
Yeah, agreed. Or maybe you can either send down Morales, but
you can't send him down. He'll have to go clear waivers, and he'll probably get taken up because
he can still get you 15, 20 home runs.
Yeah, and he's not making a lot of money either. So it's like that's why you want to trade him, get something back, and you
did get something back. Who knows if this dude will ever see the field for the Blue Jays? Probably not. But for Oakland, I guess they need hitting. They looked at Morales and was like, listen, he's a depth guy. He's a DH. If we need him to hit, then let's go ahead. Let's get him for a guy who's probably 25th, 30th on their prospect list. Like
he's probably lower. I mean, he's 22-year-old.
Lower or higher?
He's lower than that. I mean, he's 22 years old. He's in A-ball, and he wasn't even hitting that well down there. So I don't really see a whole lot coming out of Jesus Lopez. But you think about the Jays, I mean, and this is an infielder. How many infielders they have in their minor league system? My God, it's too many.
Yeah.
So he's kind of at the bottom of the barrel when it comes to that. But really, it was just kind of a move to get Morales out of here and get him more or less into a better situation for himself, probably, and for the Blue Jays to open up a spot and give another younger player another opportunity.
So let's talk about this series today, because the trade happened. It was a minor trade, whatever. Let's talk about this series.
Do you want to talk about the roster makeup and how the roster looks before we break into this series?
Yeah, because obviously the official roster's out because they're playing today. First pitch is at 4:04 or is it 3:30?
3:37.
3:37, yeah. So if you want, you could just go through the roster quickly, because I know you already did it in your video yesterday.
I mean, real quickly, we can talk about the 5 starters right out of the gates here. We got Marcus Stroman starting off there today, Matt Shoemaker in Game 2, Aaron Sanchez in Game 3, Trent Thornton, and I want to get to him in a little bit here, and Clayton Richard are the 5 that round out the rotation. I don't know what to expect from quite a few of these guys.
Any surprises?
Trent Thornton, really, but the only reason he's a surprise is because Ryan Borucki is going to be injured for at least his first start or his first 2 starts. So when he comes back, I think that it's really going to see who does well. If Trent Thornton has a couple great starts, but Clayton Richard does not, wouldn't surprise me if Ryan Borucki slides into there.
So he's going to be out for a week, pretty much.
It's something like that. Yeah, it's nothing too crazy for Ryan Borucki. I mean, he's going to be out for a little bit here. Nothing crazy, though. Nothing too crazy. So out of the 5, and Clay Buchholz, obviously the Jays signed him in the offseason. I don't know why he didn't pitch in the spring at all. And he doesn't sound like
was he hurt?
Well, he's not going to start no, because he was pitching on the mound and stuff. So I don't know what the heck the deal is with that.
So he's playing in the third game or fourth game?
targeting early April debut 5 days ago, and then they sent him on the injured list today just because they need to be able to have guys on the roster.
So this is going to be his debut, period, for the Blue Jays in a regular season game.
Yeah, basically. So it's going to be really interesting to see how he can do when he does get ready.
So basically it's going to go Stroman, then Sanchez for 1 and 2, and then Clay Buchholz for the day 3. Or is it?
Well, no, we've already,
what's the plan there?
Well, it's already Shoemaker for game 2, and then
Shoemaker, okay,
and then Sanchez for game 3. But I think when Ryan Borucki comes back, it wouldn't surprise me if he slides into that second spot.
Okay,
because then you have righty, lefty, righty in the rotation.
Right, it's kind of switching it up a little bit.
But I don't know. I don't know how they're going to work it. Again, this is so early. There's injuries will happen, so things are going to be
especially
weird.
with the Blue Jays. Injuries will happen, like the past 2 or 3 seasons, where on paper we looked okay, maybe even great, but injuries just derailed our whole season. So 2 rebuilding teams facing off this weekend, I guess.
Are we previewing the series already?
Well, we're just gonna preview both pitching matchups. Let's just do that. Who's on the mound for the Tigers?
Jordan Zimmerman's on the mound for the Tigers, and really since his Washington Nationals days, he really hasn't done anything too crazy. I mean, he's on the mound for the Tigers today, and Marcus Stroman obviously on the mound for the Blue Jays in the season opener. And in game 2 you got Matt Boyd versus Matt Shoemaker, and then game 3 you got Aaron Sanchez versus Spencer Turnbull, who I've never really heard of, and then former Tampa Bay Ray Matt Moore facing off against Trent Thornton in the finale on Sunday afternoon. So that rounds out the first 4 games. I mean, we can break those down real quick in a little bit.
Yeah, exactly. But just going back to the Blue Jays roster here, I mean, obviously, this season was a season of, okay, we're going to be progressing into something younger. This team has to be younger. We can't be signing these veterans. I mean, you could, but not like last year, right? And if you want, we could just go around to the bases here, shortstop, third base, second base, first base, whatnot here. Any more surprises on who made it? Because I know you showed me a video before we started the pod about who made it and who didn't.
Right. I mean, out of the guys who did make the team, Freddie Galvis is a guy that I didn't really know what to expect coming into camp. Sorry, as Buck Martinez would say, I don't know if it's the right pronunciation for it, but I've heard Freddie Galvis for, well, as long as he's been in the MLB, and I'm hearing Buck Martinez say Galvis, so I don't know what the truth is. I don't know what it is, but I'm going to go with Galvis until I get told otherwise. And but I mean, no real surprises here. I mean, Richard Urania had a great end of the season last year. He put a great spring together. It was either him or Eric Sogard who were going to make the team. And with Richard Urania, he has options. He has, he's younger, all that stuff. And Eric Sogard, I mean, he didn't really have anything. He didn't have a great spring either. So I mean, it kind of made sense for Richard Urania. Rowdy Tellez deserved a spot, but it was obviously with Kendrys Morales and Smokey there. You can't really play him. So with the trade, he slots in there. It makes sense. Smoke, Lourdes Gurriel, all expected. Brandon Drury, and Freddie Galvis as well. So
how many games would you like to see the Jays take out of this series?
Out of this, it wouldn't surprise me to take 3 out of 4. It really wouldn't surprise me. The Detroit Tigers are not that great. Jordan Zimmerman is not that great. I mean, ideally, the young Jays hitters, I don't know how they're going to go against Jordan Zimmerman, but the Tigers are not a very good team either.
Do you look into the last 7 seasons? I think we haven't won a home opener. Or was it season opener?
It's something like that.
Do you look into that?
No.
I do a little bit.
Well, I don't look at it now because look at how different the roster is this year.
Yeah, but we say that every year, though. Like, every year the roster changes a lot.
It's one game. Right?
Yeah, I do agree with you there.
I don't really look into it too much, really.
And it's not like we're facing the Yankees or the Red Sox or the Astros or whatever, right? Like, we're facing a team that's pretty much going to do as worse as us, or even worse, right? So if we can split it, but like you say, 3 out of 4, it's pretty hard to sweep a season series, especially a 4-gamer. Yeah. But 3 out of 4, or even split it, that's fine with me.
Especially because of the Jays' rotation, I don't know what to expect.
Yeah, because pitching this season is going to be a question.
You know, I'm excited to see what Stroman and Sanchez can do. They both seem healthy. I mean, for right now at least. They both seem healthy. They both had great springs. they both seem jacked up, ready to go, and we haven't seen this in a while from these guys, right? Sanchez has started the year on the injured reserve. Stroman started last year injured, missed the first. Wait, I don't think he missed the first start, but he pitched like 4 games, then went on the injured reserve, and then he kind of bounced all around the I guess the DL for the longest time.
Exactly. Well, this is a make it or break it year for both these players. Listen, if both these players are injured for a majority of the season, get rid of them. I don't want to see them again in a Blue Jays uniform, or if they underperform. Can you agree with me on that? If
I don't
they're
know.
injured, we really don't have any other options. I can agree with you there, but listen, if they're injured for a majority of the season or they don't perform like last year, I'm sorry, but why are we keeping these guys if they're always injured or they're just not performing? I get it's a sentimental value. I understand that, but you have to move on from players that just aren't performing. So this season, I get you're not on a good team. Both these players are not on a good team, right? The Jays aren't a good team this year.
The reason I like baseball is that ERAs don't say how good of a team you have behind you. If a player makes an error behind you, it doesn't count towards your ERA.
Right.
But if you give up a home run, it does count and all that stuff. So really, wins and losses are the meaningless stat when it comes to that. That's why with Jacob deGrom last year with the Mets, I mean, he won like 2 or 3 games all year. His offense didn't give him anything, but his ERA was under 2. Like, it was ridiculous.
Yeah, so with these two players, Stroman and Sanchez, they're in that age where they're not young, but they're not old. They're in their prime right now, 27, 28 years of age.
Yep.
You can look at maybe trading them in the trade deadline if they aren't performing. Well, even if they are performing, why not get something for them? But like you said, if they are performing, I think you should keep them.
Well, so we don't really know what if they're part of this quote unquote rebuild.
Exactly, because
if they are a part of it, then hey, keep them around.
Listen, it was such a mystery last season with them because when they did play, they weren't good, but they were probably playing hurt for the majority of the season, and they were hurt, right? So I think it's hard for Shapiro and Atkins to really say, well, these two guys are a part of the rebuild or these two guys aren't a part of the rebuild because they don't know.
Yeah.
So this season is a huge season for those two players especially.
Yeah, I could not agree more. And then you look at the outfield spots, and I think the only reason Jonathan Davis and Dalton Pompey are on this is because they're both hurt. So that's that. Kevin Pillar, Billy McKinney, Teoscar Hernandez, and Randall Grichuk. I mean, no surprises there. All guys that played on the team last year. All guys that played over 50 games with the team last year. Mm-hmm. So it's really what you expected to see in the outfield. But as for the bullpen and things like that, because that's going to be a really interesting thing to watch this year. Look, we see the rotation. It's mixed with like Stroman and Sanchez, and then some veterans of Clayton Richard and Shoemaker. And then he throws Trent Thornton in the mix for at least for a little bit here. Mm-hmm. We know that. But the bullpen is all over the place. Joe Biagini's coming off a really bad season last year, but as we talked about,
because of the starting and the
right, and he stayed as a reliever the entire spring, and probably all of his offseason things were as like
how did he do in the spring?
Reliever. He didn't give up a run in the spring.
That's good. Okay.
I'm intrigued to see what he can do. Sam Gaviglio, he was the guy in the rotation last year. He's probably going to be the long man out of the bullpen. Ken Giles is going to be closing. The Jays signed old man himself, Dan Hudson. I mean, the reason I say that, at 32 years old, okay, never mind, he's not as old as I thought.
I was going to say maybe he's like, what, 35, 36?
That's what I was thinking when I saw that. But, I mean, good to have a veteran guy in the clubhouse, obviously, with 19-year-old, first 2000-born player in the major leagues, Elvis Luciano.
How old is he?
He is 19 years old.
And we got him in what trade?
It was the Rule 5 draft, okay. So he has to play with this team this year. He's to be on the roster for the entire season. That's why I'm so intrigued to see what this kid can do. I had a feeling that we're going to pick him up because of the Rule 5, and because he's 19 with a live arm, you can't just let that go.
No.
So, I mean, he looks really... Look, he didn't have a great spring, so I'm intrigued to see what he can do as a regular season.
So why wasn't he sent down to AAA or AA?
Because he'll go back to the other team.
Right. So you basically want to see what he's all about. I mean, he didn't perform in the spring like he said, but give him the shot.
He can throw hard, and he's 19.
But could you expect him to really perform even when, like you said, he's 19?
You never know. We've seen Roberto Osuna do it. We saw... Miguel Castro do it. We saw these young guys come out of nowhere and perform well. Now, ideally, they did perform well in the spring, so you want to give them that. But Elvis Luciano, I'm very excited to watch this guy play. Tim Meza, he's going to be a dominant lefty out of the pen. Thomas Pannone, same thing.
Yeah.
David Phelps, he's going to be a guy when he comes back from injury. He'll be fine, and he'll be slotted in the bullpen, probably setting Thomas Pannone down or something like that. And then Trent Thornton, once Baraki comes back, I think, if he doesn't perform well, we'll go back to the bullpen.
And this season, okay, so we're facing the Tigers, obviously, in the first series. And then we go to Baltimore. We're home at Baltimore for the second series. These are two series where I wouldn't be surprised if the Jays take both of them. I'm not so sure about the Baltimore Orioles because, like you said, they can hit. They can definitely hit. They have no pitching whatsoever, and they really have no depth other than, really, Chris Davis and Mark Trumbo. They lost Manny Machado, obviously, in the offseason.
And they lost Adam Jones as well.
Yeah. But, yeah, I mean, it just... I don't know, but... Last year, I think the Orioles were worse than us, weren't they?
They were the worst team in the bigs. They were absolutely horrendous.
So these two series are winnable. I mean, that's really funny for me to say because we talked about this year how awful the Jays are, supposedly.
And then you go to Cleveland after that. So that's not going to be an easy series. No. Honestly, like we said, remember last year that the Jays had an amazing April. They were like 8 or 9 games over 500 in the month of April. And we're all like, wow. This team might surprise everybody. And they had a brick wall, and they got some injuries, and then everything went to crap from there. So
yeah, so you could see the same this year, but I don't know. I think that, like you said before, I'm a very optimistic person. A lot of people on the channel are, including yourself.
We have to be. You go into this year with expectations about being in a playoff spot, you're going to be heartbroken.
Or if you have expectations of us, oh no, they're not even going to win a single game in the month of March. Why? In the month of April.
Well, they could do that if they lose the first 4 games, if they get swept by the Tigers. But I don't know if I see that happening. So
who knows?
You never know.
You never know, exactly. Do you want to talk around the league just to see?
There's really not. I mean, did we talk about Mike Trout last week?
Yeah, we talked about Mike Trout.
So we talked about that. There's really, I don't think
the Mets. Do you want to talk about them signing? Who's that pitcher they signed?
Oh, they re-signed Jacob deGrom, and I'm loving seeing. The hometown team, not hometown team, sorry, the
team that they stuck with for their entire career.
Yeah, Jacob deGrom. Like I said just earlier, that the Mets were terrible last year, and he only had like 3 or 4 wins last year, but he pitched amazing. Mm-hmm. He re-signed with that team.
Great,
and Mike Trout. The Angels have been bad and haven't made the playoffs in quite a few years, and he re-signs for 12 years. You love to see it.
Because you love to see loyalty, but then again, with any sport, you can sign the deal. But there's no loyalty in sports whatsoever. I think we can both agree on that. Mike Trout could be traded tomorrow.
I think for sports fans, though, you want the player to do it. Yeah. Right? To the player to have that feeling.
Right. But the management can do whatever they want to do. But, yeah, I like you said, if the player wants to stay there, I completely agree with you. Respect 24. I respect the player, right? But management's one thing.
And an interesting thing that I want to touch on here. Now, ideally, I know why it didn't happen, but Vladimir Guerrero Jr. obviously didn't make the team out of camp. We all knew that was we all knew it was happening. However, Eloy Jimenez, the guy who got the big contract, we talked about him last week, he made the team out of the camp for the White Sox. And another interesting thing, a guy that everyone expected to be in the minor leagues, expected to do what Vladdy did. I think it's Fernando Tatis, I think Tatis is his last name, but I'm not sure exactly what his first name is. And I think it's in the San Diego Padres organization, kind of like Vladdy. He actually made the team out of camp.
With the contract or with no contract?
With just like the regular, minor contract and all that stuff. But it's just interesting to see all these young guys, just coming around. Ideally, if you're the San Diego Padres, I get it. You need some fans to show up to your games. A guy signing like Manny Machado, bringing in Tatis, bringing in your top prospect. It's going to gain some interest. I get that. So that could be the only reason why they're doing it. I don't know.
And I think we can both agree if Vladdy did perform in spring training and he would have got a deal similar to Jimenez, he would have probably made the team.
If he got a deal, he probably would have been because then there's no years of eligibility even closer. You've signed a big contract.
But he didn't perform. And then he got injured, and so I think for him, just nurse the injury. Hopefully in maybe late April, April.
No, you'll see him in May.
For sure.
Well, I mean, if he performs and is healthy, then I think I don't because if
and there's no setbacks.
Right, because in May, it's the whole, extra year of eligibility. If he comes up in May, if he comes up in April, you'll lose 1 year. And if he comes up in May, then you don't lose a year. So that's why they're trying to wait it out as long as they can. And with him being injured, I guess it kind of helps. I mean, I don't know. You don't want your best prospect injured whatsoever at all. So, I mean...
Yeah, I don't think any injury helps whatsoever. No. But I could see where we were coming from. And
the Buffalo Bisons are going to be a damn fun team to watch, at least at the start of the season. You have Kevin Biggio, Bo Bichette, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. down there.
Kind of like the Marlies from, 3-4 years ago?
Yeah, honestly. That's really the way it is. When we were seeing guys like William Nylander and Kasperi Kapanen and Travis Dermott. And who else?
There's probably some other names.
Oh, yeah, there was definitely some other names. Andreas Johnsson probably getting his first taste of AHL hockey. And guys like that. And Garrett Sparks even playing well. So we're all like, wow, this is interesting. We're not going to get into Garrett Sparks.
Well, do you want to transition into hockey, or is there anything else you want to talk about for the Jays?
Look, all we know is that this season is we don't really know anything about this season. Don't expect anything. You expect things. You expect this team to be a playoff team.
So what you're saying
going to be heartbroken,
right? So don't plan the parade.
Right.
Okay. We'll leave it at that.
Plan in late September, early October season end. That's what you expect. Well, and if anything else does happen and crazy stuff does happen in sports, the Arizona Coyotes are almost in a damn playoff spot. No one expected that.
No. Don't plan the parade. So let's transition to the Leafs. Don't plan the parade because the Toronto Maple Leafs, they streaky in their last 3 games. So last week we talked on Thursday. They faced the Rangers on Saturday. They played a great game, but Georgiev played an unbelievable... This is the second straight time he's pretty much shut out the Leafs.
Yeah, 1 goal on 40, I think it was 46 shots.
I had no complaints on the Leafs' performance in that game from anybody.
No,
Defense was
Freddie
okay.
only had 2 on 28 shots.
Freddie was fine, even though I still think he's hurt a little bit. But Freddie was fine. The whole team was great. But that goddamn goalie, it just made me mad. And it's funny because they didn't start Lundqvist, because if you look at his career stats against the Leafs, we all know Lundqvist is a Hall of Famer, future Hall of Famer. He's a great goalie. Against the Leafs, not good.
And his numbers this year.
And this is when the Leafs, and a majority of the time Lundqvist played in the NHL, the Leafs were bad. And he was bad against the Leafs, so that's saying something. So I don't blame the Rangers for starting this rookie goalie.
The funny thing is, Georgiev has 3 first-star selections. I'm guessing 2 of those are against the Leafs. So it tells you right there how that thing goes for the Toronto. But like you said, they played a good game.
A great game.
Yeah, they didn't come away with a victory, but I mean, at this point in the season, I'll take a great game and 1 point.
Yeah,
at this point.
I mean, it does kind of suck because you're facing a team on a rebuild who's 29, 34, and 13. I'm just looking at their...
Yeah.
They are now, right? But I'm just saying, it's a game, another game you got to win. But the Leafs played their hearts out, and I don't blame that one bit. You got a point. Great.
The Leafs had 20 shots in the third period.
Oh, I know. I watched the entire game, and I was just shocked about how they didn't get anything. And I would have thought going into overtime, oh, yeah, the Leafs have this. But... crazy bounce. I don't know who initially shot it, but it went off Freddie Anderson. He saved it, and then a rebound. Ryan Strome obviously got it in, whatever. So, I mean, you could take a point out of it, but I would have loved to see the Leafs win that.
And then on Monday, the Leafs welcomed the Florida Panthers to town, and this game was straight up dominated by the Leafs for the first 2 periods and about, 6 minutes after. And then, because the Leafs had a 7-3 lead, but then it kind of dwindled away as Jonathan Huberdeau and Howerlich scored to make it a 7-5 game.
And actually, a cool stat about this game is the goalie that was in for Florida, Montembeault.
Yep.
Fastest goalie being pulled against the Leafs ever.
Well, 2 goals on 4 shots. I mean, it happened.
He was pulled in the first 4 minutes of the game.
Yeah, after the Jake Muzzin goal at 4:21 of the first period, he was gone.
That was a blast. I mean, that shot should never went in, but it was a blast.
I mean, he was able to walk right into it. I mean, no defense at all around him.
With Florida, they're obviously out of the playoffs. I think they officially got eliminated.
Yes, they did.
By the Montreal Canadiens, actually. They're a good team. Their offense is unbelievable. Barkov, Huberdeau, Hoffman. I'm probably missing some other names. Dadonov. Their defense is suspect. It's not great, but it's similar to ours. Ekblad obviously took a step back this year. I still don't know. Maybe he needs a change of scenery. But the real issue is goaltending.
Yeah.
Luongo looks broken. He should not be playing as many games as he's been playing at 40 years of age.
He's only played 39 games.
It doesn't matter. You're playing almost 40 games and you're 40. I think you should call it quits. He has, 3 more years left on his deal? Well, that's the problem with Florida. That's why they're going after Bobrovsky. And James Reimer has been terrible this year. And this Montembeault guy hasn't been anything. I don't even know why Montembeault's up.
He's played 10 games and he's been horrendous.
I mean, they waived... Didn't they waive Hutchinson?
Yeah, that's how we got him. Or did we trade for him?
We traded for him, but why would Florida give up a goalie when they really have none?
I don't know.
Who knows? But sure, we won against Florida, and I was talking to you about this a little bit. I don't really consider this a win in my book. Sure, we won on paper, great, but I mean, really, you gave up. You were up 7-3. You gave up 2 goals, great. You won 7-5, and that's if I was Mike Babcock, I would not be happy with that.
Well, you don't like the last 10-15 minutes of the game, but the first 45 minutes you absolutely loved because the Leafs were on fire. They were up 7-3. Freddie was making some big saves. They were playing pretty good defense, and then they got comfortable. They got comfortable with their 4-goal lead. And said, "We're just going to sit back and play a little dump and chase, not do anything about it." And just let teams come at us. And that's what they did. Now, ideally, I don't think they'll do that in a playoff game. And also, in a 7-3 game, you don't want to get hurt at all. So maybe they're playing tentative. I don't know.
So you don't think that they'll do that in a playoff game? We've noticed.
Up 7-3 and literally collapse and die in the... Look,
we were up 2 goals last year against Boston in Game 7 going into the third period. What happened?
Up by 1. Going into the third
were
period.
We up by 1?
Yeah, going into the third period.
But we gave up 2 to lose the game.
Yep.
So... I don't know. We've seen that the Leafs collapse in third periods,
right,
and we don't have
by 4 goals in the third period.
Hey, I'm being optimistic, but if the Leafs continue this, I think we can both agree that they'll be out in 4 or 5. Hopefully not swept, because that'd be an embarrassment.
I think honestly, dude. I mean, I think we're all. Well, I don't know if I am because I Jake Gardiner and Travis Dermott are just huge pieces of this team.
Of course.
And the reason why the Leafs are giving up so many goals, and I'm trying to pinpoint all of them, they can't get the puck out of the zone.
No,
Their breakout passes are awful. And who are some of your best guys at doing that? One is Morgan Rielly, Jake Gardiner, and Travis Dermott.
That's the problem.
And they're injured.
Again, I'm not looking too much into it because, again, 2 of our best defensemen are injured. And on any team, that would be hard, right? But... even with Gardner and Dermott in the lineup against Boston, I mean, really, I mean, it'd be a lot closer, but still. Zaitsev can't make a breakout pass. I talked about that last podcast.
He can't. Yep.
Ozhiganov can't make a breakout pass. Marinson can't make a breakout pass. Justin Hall...
Marinson's just terrible. He can't do anything.
Justin Hall is okay at points, but, I mean, really, no. Yeah.
So, wow. Jake Gardiner 2 days ago was wearing a non-contact jersey. Good. So he was out skating with the team, just in a non-contact jersey.
Would you want him to sit until the playoffs start or come back premature?
If he's ready, I want to get him at least 1.
Yeah.
I want to get him into at least something.
And speaking of being...
And 3 days ago, Travis Dermott was able to take contact again.
So these players are on the bounce.
So they're getting back in the next 3 games.
Because our last 2 games are against, I know, Tampa and Montreal. I would put him in against Tampa. I would start Freddie in that game, and I would listen. If you're ready to go, play. But if you're not, sit. That's fine. Practice with the team and wait for Boston.
So the Leafs play Ottawa in Ottawa this Saturday. Then you have the Islanders on Monday. Then home for Carolina, and then home for Tampa. Then in Montreal to end the year. I'm going to the Carolina game, and it really frustrates me. Why? Because Garrett Sparks will be in net, and second night of a back-to-back when you just played in New York.
Is it confirmed Garrett Sparks is? Oh, yeah.
Well, I mean, second night of a back-to-back.
Let's talk about that. Freddie Anderson looks hurt. I know for a fact Freddie is hurt. I know for a fact he is. And going into the Flyer game, I said, Mike Babcock, you have better rest Freddie. He didn't. He looked shaky.
He was great. No, Freddie was great. No, come on now. Come on. Freddie Anderson, you can't look at, 5 goals. And he was terrible.
Did I say that?
No, but you said he looked shaky. He was not shaky.
He wasn't shaky at all.
He made on a few of the goals maybe, but he made like 10 Bell saves that he...
It doesn't help when you give up 40. I didn't say he looked terrible. Shaky and terrible are different.
He didn't even look shaky. I thought he was pretty good.
I
really thought he was pretty good.
Pretty good? Yeah.
Pretty.
I thought he was pretty good.
Well, shaky and pretty good are totally different things.
Well, shaky's not necessarily great, but not necessarily bad. Personally, that's besides the point. The point is that you need to rest him not on back-to-backs. You need to rest him for... Listen, we're not getting... I think once we clinch, then I think Mike Babcock will rest Freddie. I do think that, but...
You have Saturday against Ottawa. Do it!
No, I agree with you. I think that... Personally, I think Garrett Sparks should start once we clinch, right? Start him all the games.
The reason I'm saying start Garrett Sparks on Saturday, you have today off, you have tomorrow off. If Freddie doesn't play on Saturday, he'll have Saturday off. They don't play Sunday. Yeah. If you want to play him on the first night of a back-to-back against the Islanders, fine, because he's not playing the second half, right? I mean, look at the final games, right? You got, if he sits that game, nothing there, right? He'll play there probably, fine, against the Islanders in New York, fine. You don't play him there. You play him against Tampa.
And then you don't play him against Montreal.
And then you leave Montreal, you have Garrett Sparks play out the rest of the year. So that means you have Freddie Anderson play 2 of the remaining 5 games.
That's fine.
You know, and you give him that much time off, and he's able to play in the or do you want him to play the last game of the year? So then we run into that thing. You want to get him in the last game of the year before the playoffs.
Personally, I think once we clinch, then...
Because doesn't the playoffs start on the 10th of April?
The 9th.
It's in the 9th?
Yeah.
The 10th.
I don't...
Well, let's say...
regardless. For
argument's sake, let's say it's the 10th. And let's say he doesn't play on the 6th. That means he has 6 days of nothing.
Yeah.
Now, that could be good. I don't want it to be rust. I don't think it'll be rust. It's only 6 days, but...
No, play him against an absolute playoff team in Tampa Bay. You'll probably have Dermott and Gardner. You'll probably have Gardner and Dermott right back from there. But for right now, he looks tired. He looks tired because he's overworked. How many games did he play? It has to be 70.
I don't know. Well, maybe. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if it's 70 games.
Let's see.
Oh, only 57.
Oh. Still, though, once you get up to that 60 mark, that's like Cam Talbot a couple years ago for the Oilers. It's not good, and I'm gonna say it. He's hurt.
Well, at this point in the season, after playing that many games, of course you're injured.
Yeah, definitely.
Everybody's injured at this point in the season.
Of course, but for your goalie, you want him to be completely 100% healthy. I would rather Matthews a little bit banged up than Freddie. That's just my opinion.
Well, yeah, because you have other people to replace Austin Matthews, at least for the time being, right?
So let's talk about the forwards. Can we get off the negative?
By the way, sorry. Leafs Tyler Ennis has been selected as a Masterton Trophy nominee. So there you go. 3 hours ago.
Oh, wow. What's that award? Isn't it like sportsmanship or something?
I don't know. It's pretty good sportsmanship, if you ask me. I mean, he's a pretty good,
We'll take it.
Let me just see what it say here. So
wouldn't that be awesome?
Who exemplifies qualities of perseverance, sportsmanship, and dedication to the hockey.
So it is sportsmanship. Wouldn't that be funny if Ennis wins the Masterton?
Yeah.
Masterton. Tavares wins the Rocket. Freddie wins the Vezina. And Andreas Johnson wins the Calder because he's eligible. Wouldn't that be hilarious? I mean, I'm being a biased fan, obviously.
Well, it obviously won't happen.
Well, and obviously Pettersson's going to win it. But so let's get off the negative because we've been negative towards the Leafs. John Tavares has 45 goals.
After that 4-goal game against the Florida Panthers.
Awesome.
His first career 4-goal game.
Mitch Marner has 90 points.
Crazy.
My question for you, who do you think's going to get there first? John Tavares 50 goals or Marner 100 points?
I would have said that if either of them did something yesterday. I mean, look, after that game where Tavares scored 4 and Marner had like a 3-assist game, and he had 90 and Tavares had 45 with five goals left for Tavares in 6 games, and Marner needs 10 points in 6 games. I thought it was doable. Mm-hmm. But yesterday, I don't think any of them got a point in that game. I don't think Marner and Tavares didn't get anything yesterday. So that, for me, I don't know. That game yesterday, if they would have put up a point or two, I thought maybe, but I don't know now.
Then again,
because you're playing some really good teams down the stretch now.
Right, but then again, you do have Mitch Marner who can go on a couple cold streaks, and then he gets red hot. 10 points in 4 games. 5 games. Hey, that's doable for Marner. I don't know about Tavares, to be honest with you. But
I would say so, but you have Ottawa, which is okay. You might be able to get a couple there. But then you have the Islanders, Carolina, who's right in the playoff spot, who's been playing great hockey, and Tampa and Montreal. Those are 4 really good teams.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, 5 goals for Tavares, it's doable. If he puts up a 2-goal game or 3-goal, or gets another hat trick somewhere, then hey, you never know. And for Marner, I mean, yeah, that guy gets points left and right, so you never know.
And plus,
but I don't know.
Assists are more easy to get than goals.
I think you had that Philly game, that Ottawa game, to really kind of propel them.
And the Philly game didn't happen. Ottawa, who knows if it's going to happen?
Yeah, I don't know.
But it makes me angry because we lost, I think, the season series against Ottawa. I know we lost the first game of the year against them, and then we lost, obviously, 2 Saturdays ago now. If we would have won those 2 games, that's 4 points. Boston's up by how many points against us?
Like 7 now.
7? You need to win those games against. You need to win those games against teams that aren't. Listen, Ottawa isn't even in the same stratosphere as us.
Yeah, well, obviously
they're not.
I think they're dead last in the league, aren't they?
Yeah,
they are.
They're dead last in the league by a long shot. So I mean, you have to win against teams like that. And if we would have won those 2 games, you would have gotten 4 points. You would have been 2 points beyond Boston. You would have been sniffing home ice.
Right, but we couldn't say what if we would.
I'm just saying.
I know. I'm just saying, but it doesn't really. I mean, you can't do anything about that now, right?
No,
so
I know. But going into Saturday, it'd be a disgrace if we lose again.
Oh, I do agree with that. The Leafs should win that game on Saturday against Ottawa. Look, at least with Philly, they were hanging on to their dear playoff hopes, and they're still kind of hanging on to them for dear life. But, I mean, with Ottawa, they've been mathematically eliminated for like the last month. So, you got to beat them.
Right, but then again, it is the Battle of Ontario.
And it is hockey, man. It is hockey.
And it's a rivalry, right? It's just like when Montreal wasn't good last year. It doesn't matter about both teams on paper. It's still Montreal-Toronto. It's still Ottawa-Toronto, right? So,
exactly. 5 games left?
5 games left, and I don't believe we're getting home ice.
No, I don't either. Of course we're not.
No.
You're 6 points back with 5 games left. I mean, against a team who can't stop winning. The Boston Bruins.
Yeah. So let's just do a playoff preview here here. Just go to wildcard for a sec. So pretty much Boston, Toronto. We know that's going to happen.
Yep. Look at the Metro. I mean, the Islanders have fallen off hard. I mean, they're not doing well lately.
5-5.
And the Pittsburgh Penguins have now jumped them. I mean, look at that. They were first in the Metro not too long ago. Now they're third. I mean, it's only a 3-point gap between all 3 teams. But then here comes the Carolina Hurricanes. You know. I mean, with a game in hand, do they play tonight? Does Carolina?
Yeah, if they face Washington.
Washington in Carolina.
That's a huge game for them.
If Carolina wins that game, they're only 2 points back of the Islanders, and just like that, the Islanders could be in a wild card spot.
Can we talk about how the Blue Jackets aren't even in the playoffs right now?
It's terrible.
By 2 points.
And you know what? Probably the biggest game of the season is tonight.
With them?
Yeah.
Who are they facing? Montreal? Oh,
in Columbus.
Wow.
For Leaf fans, I know who we're cheering for. Columbus.
I would like to see Montreal in the playoffs, wouldn't you?
I want the Leafs to damn well clinch something by now.
Wait, so if Montreal loses, then we clinch?
No, I think if they... So I kind of did the math with myself here. So, if they lose in regulation...
Who's they?
If Montreal loses in regulation to Columbus, and the Leafs against Ottawa on Saturday, whether they lose in overtime or they win, they clinch.
I think if no matter what, even if Montreal wins, if we just get a point, we're in.
No. Well, no, it doesn't work that way. Well...
Yes, it does. Because if we get one more point, how many points will we have?
We're 7 up on Montreal? Yeah, we're 7 up on Montreal.
Right, so then we'll have... So let's just say that they lose and we lose.
In overtime, or what are we talking about here?
If we lose against Ottawa in regulation, we don't get a point, and Montreal wins...
Montreal has 6 games left, right?
Yeah,
5 games left. It's a possible 10 points. Okay? The Leafs have a 7-point lead.
We have to worry about Columbus, not Montreal, because Montreal's in the playoffs.
Montreal's in our division. Columbus isn't in our division.
Right, but we want to clinch a playoff spot, so we got to worry about Columbus, not Montreal.
You got to worry about Montreal, because that's the only team that can pass you right now.
They're in a playoff spot.
Columbus can't pass in the division.
Right, so
you only worry about Montreal. Once we're mathematically away from Montreal, we're in the playoffs because no team can pass us in our division.
Yeah, no team can pass us, but that still means, like, listen, if we clinch, we can still get dropped down to the wild card, but we're still in the playoffs.
No, you can't. How can you do that?
What do you mean?
The only team that can pass us right now, unless we get down to the wild card spot, would be Columbus. But other than that, it's just Montreal. When you're in the top 3 seeds in the division, you don't look at the other division.
No, but if you want to clinch a playoff spot, you look at a team that's out of the playoffs trying to get in.
Why? Wild card means nothing to us right now.
I'm not the wild card. Columbus.
Right, but they're going for the wild card.
I understand that, but even if... So let's just say that we're in the second wild card. And some magic happens.
Dude. Let's say we're mathematically Montreal can't pass us, okay?
Okay.
And then they can't pass us, and our division is... we're in the top 3. You're in a playoff spot.
Okay, well...
I don't know what you're getting at here.
Okay, well, anyways, bottom line is that I don't even know. Personally, I think that if we lose the rest of the games and Montreal loses the rest of the games, then we're going to be in.
Well, yeah, of course.
Yeah, okay, so then that's that.
I'm just saying, if the Montreal loses tonight, which means they will have 4 games left, a possible 8 points. They are 7 points back on us. You can do the math. All we need is 1 more point, and that'll end it.
Right.
Because we have the season series.
So if we win in regulation or we lose
in overtime, we'll have 8 points above them.
Right.
They'll have 4 games left, a possible 8 points.
Don't they have the season series against us, or we
do? Swept them.
We did, okay.
Yeah. So that'll be it. We need 1 point in our next game, and we need Montreal to lose tonight in Columbus in regulation.
Right.
And then the Leafs will be mathematically in the playoffs. Now, even if, you need 1 point the rest of the season if Montreal loses tonight. I mean, it's really going to happen anyways, but I'm just saying.
Well, who knows if it's going to happen? Anything can happen. Well, like, Montreal couldn't get a point. Who knows if they'll even get a point in their next, 4 or 5 games, right? I mean, and Columbus is sniffing, obviously, with 1 game less played.
Yeah, well,
they have 76
Montreal's schedule down the stretch is in Columbus, in Winnipeg, home for Tampa, in Washington, and then home for Toronto.
Well, both teams have tough schedules. We got a tough schedule,
I know, but they're banking on them winning every single game down the stretch to pass the Leafs.
I would feel so bad for Columbus Blue Jacket fans.
Oh, my God.
And Jarmo Kekalainen being on the hot seat, obviously.
Sorry, I just looked down here and I saw 0-0 on I thought it was recording, and I'm like, no way, we're not even recording this right now. But we're good. That was live. Baby, that scared me. Yeah, it was live.
I should have got your reaction. I wasn't even looking at you.
Oh my God.
I saw you doing this to your pulse.
Because I'm like, no way.
We're just talking to ourselves right now.
That's what it felt like.
Well, we do that all the time anyway.
Yeah, we do. It's okay.
Because
you see how big of a game that is tonight against. I mean, look, Columbus wins. They still have a game in hand, and they're tied with Montreal. It's a huge game in every aspect, even for the Leafs a little bit.
A little bit, yeah, but I
don't know, man. It's going to be an interesting one.
Rest Freddie, and you have a serviceable backup in Garrett Sparks, right? You play, 2 out of the 5 games? Freddie plays 2 out of the 5 games.
I would love that to happen, but I don't think it will, but...
Because Mike Babcock is Mike Babcock. So let's just go around the league here. Let's talk about... I don't think we talked about the Edmonton Oilers and what their president said to Toby Reeder, or is it Tobias Reeder?
Tobias Reeder, yeah.
Heinous comments.
I don't know why he's even opening his mouth. The team sucks in general. I don't know why he's...
And they even said that if Reeder scored 15, 20 goals, Edmonton will be in a playoff spot. I laughed at that. I laughed at that.
Keep the puck out of the net.
I laughed at that. What's 15, 20 goals from a fourth liner going to give you?
But he was playing with McDavid and Draisaitl.
Was he? I don't even know if he was.
At times he was, because they couldn't find anybody else to play with him.
Exactly. So, but then again, they issued an apology right after. Still happened.
Why'd you say what you said, bud?
Exactly.
I mean, really? I mean, you sound like Ottawa. Type of stuff you're hearing from them.
Yeah, exactly. But anytime Ottawa does something stupid, Edmonton's like, hold my beer.
Hold my beer, I'll do one up on you.
Simple as that. And one more thing before we switch to the Raptors I want to talk about. Or no, we actually got a little bit of time. Drew Doughty's comments to Matthew Tkachuk, saying he has no respect for him whatsoever. Now good, but I think that Drew Doughty is a type of guy that I don't think he control people like a Brad Marchand can, because I think he just, I don't know, like, if you say a player I have no respect for, that player's in your head.
Do people have respect for Tom Wilson? No.
Most players do. I think the one player that, listen, when you score like he's been scoring this year, and how when the contract was signed, everyone was like, that's a terrible deal. Now it's starting to look pretty good.
But how many times has he been suspended? And he's, 21 years old?
You gotta respect the guy for scoring goals. I could see if he was a goon. If he was a complete goon, he hasn't lived up to his contract yet, good. But for a player to say, I had no respect for you whatsoever, and listen, I don't think anything happened this season with those two players in general.
Yeah, it happened in the next game.
What, a couple slashes? They didn't even face. They didn't even fight.
So, because referees dove in front of them like, no, you're going to...
If they really wanted to, they could have. Simple as that. But
I'm just saying, I get why Drew Doughty's saying what he's saying, because no one else is going to step up and say anything about Matthew Tkachuk, because he's just sitting there laughing.
But what did Tkachuk do to Doughty? Nothing. He didn't headshot him. He didn't cross-check him. He's just chirping. So that's why I'm saying Drew Doughty is not...
We don't know what he said. I mean, ideally, we don't know what he said.
No, but even if he did say the most heinous things, whatever, you didn't do like anything physically to him. I could see if Tkachuk actually cross-checked him in the face, do a headshot or something, then that. But he's just talking. So Doughty has to realize, listen, he's been in the league since 08. Or 09, whatever. There's been a lot of things said to him, I would imagine. What's a rookie or a guy that's 21, 22 years of age going to really say to throw him off the edge?
I don't know. I mean, it happens. It really does. And it
seems
it seems like just Matthew Tkachuk has touched a nerve with Drew Doughty, and he was not holding He's not holding back at all.
I don't know. I was surprised because Brad Marchand's never said that to any player, and people have said way worse things to him than people said to Drew Doughty, I would imagine. That's why I'm saying Drew Doughty is not handling this very well. But then again, the LA Kings won that game against Calgary, 3-0.
Yeah.
And that's a lot of goals for LA to score just by how their season's been going. They're second last.
Yeah.
They're second last. They got no goal scoring. Jeff Carter's been horrible this year. Dustin Brown's been pretty good. But
Jonathan Quick has not been Jonathan Quick, really. I mean, he doesn't really have a great team in front of him, really, to deal with. But he hasn't been, if I'm not mistaken here, he's really been bad.
It's funny how we're not talking about the LA Kings like we are like Ottawa Senators and all that. Because listen.
Because they've won cups.
Well, yeah, true, they have. But during the trade deadline, why wouldn't you sell on Dustin Brown? He's having a surge of a year. He's not bad. Why wouldn't you sell on him? Why wouldn't you sell on a bunch of other players? I love that trade, the Muzzin trade for them. Grunstrom scored, 4 goals now?
Yeah.
Really good. Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know. I think that they got to sell more, but they obviously think... And that Kovalchuk deal's terrible.
Oh, it's ridiculous. That was to just salvage them, try and find a way to salvage their season.
Like, what sweepstakes? I remember they were talking about sweepstakes. For a guy who was 36, we haven't seen since the New Jersey days, back in, 2010?
Was it that long ago?
Yeah. Since their playoff run, really. I mean, he's not having a good season at all. And... he hasn't even been on the road trip at all. He's sitting home with the kids and the wife.
He hasn't played since March 18th.
And you have him for 2 more years at $6 million.
Cool. Good. My goodness.
And actually, Boston was interested in him, I remember, during the summertime. Yeah. Why couldn't Boston get him?
Because he would have done really well if he went to Boston. We all know this. No, we all know he would have done really well. Because look at the players he got around him.
Yeah, but he's playing with Kopitar, I would imagine, when he was playing.
I don't know about that. If you just send him home, I don't think you're playing with the top guy.
What other options do they have other than him?
I'm just saying, you're paying a guy $6.5 million to sit at home. He must not have been playing on the first line.
They had to be, because other than him, I mean, that's why they signed him, is to be that scoring threat. He's more of a role player, but I do agree with you. I mean, I don't know what they're doing out there in LA, but that's their problem. And
do you want to rant on before we move to basketball, the playoff seeding being absolutely stupid?
Yeah, we know it's stupid, but if you want, we can go
I just want to quickly touch on something. The Leafs are 3rd place in the Atlantic Division, as we all know, and they are going to be sitting there in the Atlantic Division for the rest of the season at 3rd place and not going to be getting home ice. If they were in the Metro, they'd be 1 point behind 1st place. If they were in the the Central Division, they'd be 1st place by 3 points. In the Pacific, they'd be 2nd place by 2 points.
Well, this is what you got to do. You got to go by conference. And how it worked before was we would be the 4th seed.
We'd be playing Pittsburgh, but we'd have home ice.
Yep. I mean, I don't know.
Look at this. I'm sorry. I think we talked about it before. You have the top, 3 of the top 5 teams in the NHL.
Listen,
are facing off each other in the first 2 rounds.
We're going to have to be facing Boston, and great, if we win that, probably Tampa.
Yeah. It's going to be... I just don't agree with it. I think it's just stupid.
Oh.
And something I want to touch on, Colorado actually climbed back into a playoff spot. That Western Conference second wild card spot is a mess.
So you got Arizona sniffing, Minnesota sniffing and Edmonton's out in my opinion. Whoa, Chicago was out of. Oh, they're 6-3, but they were in a playoff spot.
Yeah, they're still 7 points out with like.
How are the Oilers doing?
No, they're still bad. They're losing that good draft pick. And a team that was terrible, absolutely abysmal to start the year, the St. Louis Blues.
Yeah.
They were bad for so long, and they had went on that great streak, and everyone thought after they lost that streak, oh, here they go, they're going to fall back down to earth. And remember when they got into the third spot in the Central? Everyone's like, well, they're going to sit there. They're like 10 points, 12 points back. They're now 2 points back of second and 4 points back of first place.
Well, this is what
they have won 4 straight games.
Well, this is what we expected. On paper, they're a great team with the addition of O'Reilly. I don't think it was. No, it was last year. They got somebody else, didn't they, in free agency? Like a big name. I know they got Bozak. Who else did they get? I know they got somebody else. Pat Maroon. That's a name.
Braden Shen.
That was last year.
Okay.
Robert Thomas. Colton, yeah, really nobody, but on paper, they're always a playoff team. They don't go far in the playoffs, but they're definitely a playoff team.
They were that bad for quite a while.
Remember, they were like second or third last. Yeah. But
and now they're third in the Central Division. They are 4 points back of first place,
and they still haven't clinched yet, but they will.
They will. Yeah, they will.
Okay, crazy, man. I just can't wait until. I mean, man, these playoffs are going to be something else. I kind of want Montreal to make it because it feels like when Montreal's in the playoffs, I think it's just a little bit free agency rights for NFL. Yeah, but I think that when Montreal's in the playoffs, they're just more fun in my opinion. I want them to make it, and I want Carolina too. So
I think we're going to go to basketball now, and the Toronto Raptors. A couple emotional games lately.
We've said that for the past couple podcasts now, but it's true.
We go back to the Friday game against Oklahoma City at home. Now we talked about in the previous game in the overtime victory where Tony Brothers, one of the brothers, Tony Brothers, the referee was horrendous, but the Raptors still came away with a victory in overtime in Oklahoma City. Now the game at home, the Raptors, I don't know, man, they just.
Listen, you're facing Oklahoma City. They're a great team.
The thing about OKC, they're not a great 3-point shooting team. And they knocked down 23s. You're not going to see that too often.
Who was knocking them down?
The officials in the game, like late in the game, as we saw in OKC, were terrible.
Who was knocking down the threes before you rant on the officials?
Jamari Grant was 5 of 8.
Isn't he a big man?
Paul George was 5 of 8, 5 of 10 from 3. Dennis Schroeder was 4 of 7. Look, they were just making their threes.
Isn't Jamari Grant a big man? I'm pretty sure he is.
6'9".
Well, so yeah, and. The last 2 minutes, you said the officiating was terrible. We hate to rag on the officials, but when it happens to a team we like in a close game, mind you, this game doesn't mean much at all.
Right, yeah.
But at the end of the day, it is a game I don't know if even if the officials were fair, we would have won. Maybe I don't know.
Every time Dennis Schroeder and Russell Westbrook drove to the basket, the Raptors kind of collapsed because then all they did is kick it to a guy behind the arc and they knocked down a 3 and they were wide open. So that was a problem in the game there. Then we move ahead to the Charlotte game at home, and for the first time since Game 1 of the season, the Raptors have been fully healthy.
Really?
Game 1 of the season.
Wow.
And they do lose 115-114 to Charlotte on that half-court stupid buzzer beater by Jeremy Lamb.
Healthy as in no one's taking rest. No. But injured one thing, but rest days.
Right.
Right. So everyone was playing.
Everyone was playing.
Everyone could have played. Okay.
And they lost 115-114 to the Charlotte Hornets. Look, again.
Props to Jeremy Lamb, honestly, for...
Another team that shot the 3 like crazy. 18 threes for the Charlotte Hornets.
I was watching those reaction videos on Instagram and YouTube, and they were great. They were great. It's usually 9 times out of 10 those shots don't go in, obviously, but it did, and they're playing for their playoff lives right now.
Yeah, they've been playing well. They've won 4 straight games. They're still 4 games under 500, and the odds of them getting in are getting slimmer by the day. And the Raptors do lose that game, and it sucks that you did lose a game against a Charlotte team that's out of the playoffs, but you kind of take it for what it is. Like I said, the first game that you've had your full lineup, rest days or not. You know, and it's crazy to see there.
At that.
Oh, I know.
I know
what you're getting at. The playoff picture and how the Orlando flipping Magic are in a playoffs. They've won 6 straight games, and they are now half a game back of the Detroit Pistons. And if that's the case, we could be playing Orlando in round 1. Miami's gone. Miami's out of the playoffs for right now.
I laughed about that last podcast. I said, could you imagine? And you said it on this podcast. Oh, I don't believe they're making it. I don't believe they're making it. The difference
between Brooklyn, Detroit, Orlando, and Miami is a game and a half.
And you could even say Charlotte. I mean, really,
it's a game and a half from the 6th seed to the 9th seed. A game and a half.
Yeah. But then again, you could even say Charlotte. Listen, they won 4 straight. If they win, 2 more games, and the Orlando Magic lose 2, there you go.
Assuming they will.
I know. I'm just saying, though. It's extremely tight. Washington's out of it. And then you could just go down the list there. But, yeah, I mean, but if we were to face Orlando,
Orlando plays Charlotte to end the season.
Really?
So that could be interesting.
Even if we face Orlando in the first round, we've seen countless times in the regular season, it's been close games against them.
Nikola Vukovic is a freak. He's always done really well against the Toronto Raptors. Now, ideally, can they turn that into playoff success? I don't know.
Listen, the last time they made the playoffs, I think, was they went to the NBA Finals.
With Dwight Howard.
With Dwight Howard against Kobe, yeah. So that's 7 years now?
It's been a long time.
8 years? So, it's a long time for Orlando, assuming they make it. Let's just say that. But we have, 5 games left? How many games do we have left? 6? 7? 8? 9?
Here, let me check. Let me check my video, and I'll be able to see kind of which game this was.
So let's just say that the Bucks have clinched first.
7 games left.
7 games left, but the Bucks have clinched first.
Right,
they've clinched
pretty much.
We can't pass
technically them. Not, but
well, what's the why mean? Oh, they clinched in their conference or their division.
Was, yeah,
okay.
That doesn't mean anything anymore.
No. I mean, it used to, I think.
Yeah, not anymore.
But no, not anymore. Yeah, so sorry. I just kind of wanted to say that. So go into the rest of the games if you want.
Look, I mean, the remainder games for the Toronto Raptors, look, we talked about it before, how the schedule past the Oklahoma City games are fairly good in the Raptors' sense, I guess. You're in New York tonight. You're in Chicago. 2 teams that you should beat no problem. Then you have Orlando at home, and that's an interesting game because the Raptors obviously know where they're going to sit. They're just kind of relaxed and all that stuff. Where Orlando trying to battle for their playoff lives. So that could be a really interesting one at home.
And this is a potential first-round matchup.
Look at the remaining games. You have Orlando, Brooklyn, Charlotte, and Miami.
And then Minnesota, which is kind of weird.
No, I'm not just getting to that. I mean, Orlando, Charlotte, Miami, and Brooklyn are all those teams that we were talking about
fighting.
Are in that.
So the Raptors can't take a night off. And I think this was a question for the podcast, but let's just answer now.
Would we rather face?
No. Kawhi has played 4 straight games.
He hasn't played 4 straight games since the beginning of February.
I know, but I'm just saying. This is what Nick Nurse has wanted. The playoffs are ramping up. And any of these teams we're going to be facing in the next 5 games, we could be facing in the first round.
There's no back-to-backs the rest of the way.
There's no back-to-backs for the rest of the game. The playoffs start when, April...
Like 15th
or something like that. No, so it's in 3 weeks. These are potential first-round matchups for each game, pretty much. Okay, besides the Knicks in Chicago, Orlando potential, Brooklyn potential, Charlotte potential, Miami potential, and Minnesota no. So
and they're in the West.
Well, yeah, that's why I said no. But this is why Nick Nurse is not resting Kawhi and no backs-to-back. So I agree with his decision, and he's looked great. Kawhi's Kawhi.
Yeah, he's gonna do his thing.
Kawhi is Kawhi.
And we heard there was a report coming out, a few days ago or something, that the Raptors are gaining confidence that they're going to be re-signing Kawhi Leonard. Now, whether that kind of goes anywhere, I guess.
Whether talks have started or not, I don't think talks have started at all, but obviously they think that they're going to sign him. They thought that they were going to sign him when we traded for him.
Josh Lewenberg says that the Raptors have grown increasingly confident they will re-sign Kawhi.
Yeah, the Raptors have, but...
Right, it's all up to Kawhi in the end, so it really doesn't mean anything.
And plus, Masai pulled this deal off thinking that we could sign Kawhi no matter how good the season turns out to be. Right? Yeah. So he thought trading for this player, we're definitely going to re-sign him. Now it's looking like there's more possibility because of the complete success that the 2017-2018 or 2018-2019 season
has been.
Yeah, has been for us. And all I gotta say is playoffs are another story.
And by the way, Jody Meeks is back.
The Meeks.
The Raptors signed him to a 10-day contract not too long, or like a month ago or something.
And he was going to be with us for the rest of the year.
And he signed for the rest of the season. I kind of like the signing. The guy can shoot the ball.
He's a sharpshooter. Well,
so why not?
He's a sharpshooter.
Well, I mean, he shot the ball well in his very minimal time with the Toronto Raptors. And do you want to touch on former Raptor Chris Bosh, who got his number retired in Miami? And I think there's no question about it. He should have that number 4 retired as a Raptor. You don't think so?
I don't think so.
Really?
I don't think so. Listen, you can argue that Vince Carter was the better player than him. Vince's number's not retired, so why should Bosch's?
How long were they here for?
Chris Bosh was here. We drafted him in 04. He left in 10. So, what, 6 years?
I think it was like 6 or 7 years.
6 years. No. Yeah, great player. I don't even know about retiring.
He was in Miami for 6.
Right, but he won 3 championships in Miami.
Well, yeah.
And he was great. I think he was better on the Raptors than Miami, but it just kind of sour how he left. He didn't want to be here. I don't even think DeMar DeRozan's number should be retired. I mean, maybe.
I think DeMar should be. He's all over our record books. I mean, my goodness, you can't have nobody retired.
Maybe. Well, true, but this once I see success with this franchise, then you start retiring numbers and a player.
You get DeMar DeRozan has had a ton of success.
Success with the team.
Yeah, exactly.
With the team.
Exactly.
The team hasn't gone anywhere with
4
DeRozan.
4 or 5 straight playoff berths.
What?
You've won an Eastern Conference title. You made it to the conference finals.
All right.
Bosh never did that. So if anything, DeMar DeRozan has a much better case.
Oh yeah, a much better case. But I'm still on the fence of that. I don't know. Listen.
It's the same with baseball. Why did Carlos Delgado get his number to the Rafters? He's leading a bunch of categories. Never made a playoffs berth with the Jays, but he's on the wall of excellence.
Yeah, he is, but I don't know.
What about Matt Sundin? Why is his number at the Rafters? It's all over the record books. Never won anything.
But that's during. Listen, Matt Sundin is probably, if not the top 5 Swedish player ever. Is DeMar DeRozan really top 50?
No, but he's the greatest Raptor of all time.
Yeah, he is the greatest Raptor of all time, so that's arguable, but let's go back to Bosh. That's for a different situation. Chris Bosh, do you think his number should be? I don't think so. I don't know. He wanted to leave, and he only spent 6 seasons with us. A great 6 seasons. Great. He was a great player, but I don't think so. Miami, I can completely understand because he won those championships. He was a big part of it. It's not like LeBron carried that team. He was a huge part of it with D Wade and all the boys there.
Of his career, what do you expect, right?
Yeah, exactly. And it sucks the way his career ended. Obviously, lung contusion or something like that.
It was
blood clots. Yeah. And Hall of Famer, I don't know about that. I don't know, but he was great, and that's another player that I'm happy he won the championship, but his career ended way too soon.
Yeah, it's true. He could have been such a great player.
Do you think his number should be retired? I think it was smart that Miami did it, and I don't think we're gonna do it.
I think number 4, Chris Bosh, will be retired as a Raptor.
Has anyone worn it?
I don't think so. And that's when you think about it. I think honestly, I truly believe that no one will again. Right? I really believe that it's gonna happen because you think of number 4 for the Toronto Raptors, you think of Chris Bosh.
CB4, yeah,
exactly.
Yeah, you
CB4. Do. So I mean, that's why I think he's gonna be retired. But that's my thought towards that.
I wonder if a player could be retired number for 2 separate teams. Probably. Oh yeah, because Shaq retired his number in Los Angeles, and no. Can a player retire their number for 2 separate teams?
I'm assuming you can.
Yeah,
just because they did doesn't mean we're not allowed to.
No, but
right?
I don't know if any player's done it. Maybe.
I don't know.
Who knows?
By the way, just a funny little thing here: the Raptors are 11-point favorites over the Knicks tonight. So that's quite a large margin there.
Yeah, I'm just looking if anyone's wearing 4, and nobody's wearing 4.
No, nobody on the roster now.
So do you want to go around the league? And the LA Lakers are out of the playoffs, completely out of the playoffs. They're not making the first time LeBron James has not made the playoffs since 05-06, I think.
And some of the funny things that you see, last time LeBron James missed the playoffs, all the memes that you see about that, and there are some crazy things on there. I'm going to look some up here if you want to keep going.
Well, I just know that the last time LeBron didn't make the playoffs, the iPhone wasn't out. MySpace was a thing. I don't think Twitter was out. Instagram was out. Snapchat. None of those social media sites were out when LeBron James didn't make the playoffs. And listen, I said this on multiple occasions on this podcast, and I'm going to say it again. If the Lakers go into next season with the same roster and they do nothing, that's a huge risk. It could pay off, but at the end of the day, I think they got to do something.
Yeah.
I think that they either got to trade Lonzo, Ingram, Kuzma. I think they should keep, but they have to get a new supporting cast around LeBron, and I think a more experienced one. Right?
Here's a good one. The last time LeBron missed the playoffs, 95.6% of the NBA wasn't in the league yet. 95.
Yeah, that's a shocking stat.
Crazy.
And that was what? How long ago was that? Well, that's close to, what, 14 years ago?
Something like that.
13, 14 years ago? I feel bad for the guy because he's doing everything he possibly can. No, seriously, he is. I mean, it's just the supporting cast, and I think, honestly, I think they need to change something this offseason.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they go into next season with the same roster, just knowing all the players are supposed to get better, and you had a full season with a brand new star player. And listen, when LeBron James didn't make the
Sanders, or is that
yeah, the last time.
Listen to this.
Go ahead.
Well, you already talked about the iPhone not existing. Deion Sanders was still playing
For Baltimore, I think at that point.
Actually, this looks like Dallas.
No, that wasn't that. It was Baltimore at that point.
Patrick Mahomes was 10. and of course the Atlanta Falcons still didn't have any rings. So
Dilly.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah, but you got to feel for the guy. I mean, it looks like a mistake of him leaving Cleveland.
Yeah.
But then again, you go from, I don't know, it's just, because I said this before, and if both teams didn't have LeBron James comparing the Cavs to the Lakers, I still think the Lakers are a better team.
Oh, of course. You look at, yeah.
And then when they got LeBron, I think, oh, well, this is definitely a playoff team. Maybe like the 7th or 6th seed. Nothing crazy.
Clearly not.
I know, that's why I'm shocked.
They're 9 games under 500. They're just not a good team. They're not a good team at all. You know? And I don't know. Lonzo, ideally, injuries never helped them, right? With Reggie Bullock getting hurt, Lonzo getting hurt, Brandon Ingram getting hurt, Josh Hart getting hurt, and then really nothing. They don't have enough. Kyle Kuzma.
Right, but you're talking about a dude that can carry a team. Something's not right there. That's what I'm saying.
Right. You're seeing all the videos about him sitting at the end of the bench with nobody.
Exactly.
Things are not going well there. He's still an amazing player, 27, 8, and 8, which is ridiculous. He's shooting 50% from the field.
It must be just the abundance of young guys, and they have their own clique together. I mean...
And some of them have egos. Kyle Kuzma.
Well, Kuzma, Ball, I would assume, does a little bit.
Kyle Kuzma, look, I assume I've mentioned this before about how I do not like Kyle Kuzma, because what he said back in his rookie year, he was having a great rookie season and all, and then I don't know who it was that they were asking him about. Let's just say it was LeBron James. So Kyle, how do you feel about putting up 25 or whatever it was against LeBron James tonight? And he yes, who?
He's just looking for attention.
Buddy, just shut up and play the game.
But he's looking for attention, and that's the thing with these players. They think they're all that in a bag of chips, but they're really... Kyle Kuzma's an unbelievable player. He was drafted in the late first round, but, still, I completely agree with you, and right now, Magic Johnson is in a tough situation. He really is. They should fire Luke Walton, the coach. He was given LeBron James. He did nothing with them, but... that locker room's cancerous. Simple as that. Is there anything else you want to talk about for the NBA, or because I want to get into fantasy a little bit because the season's ending and
is there anything crazy going on in there in the Western Conference?
Really nothing.
Now the playoffs are pretty much set. Oklahoma City has dropped to 7th. That's crazy how they're falling.
Can't believe the Spurs are in the. Well, then again, they do have still some players, but Sacramento. Man, I got to give them props.
They're a good-looking young team, man.
They were in the bottom for a long time, and now they're sniffing, but they're not going to make the playoffs this year.
You look at some of the young players. Bogdanovich averaging 14 a game. Then you go to De'Aaron Fox, right? Obviously, the really young point guard. 17.5 points a game. Buddy Hield's averaging over 20 a game, 20.8. They got Bagley. I think he's still averaging like 13, right? 14.7. He's shooting 50%.
After years and years of Sacramento Kings fans not having anything to hope for, they do now. Now they just need a new arena.
Yeah, that's true. It's really true.
It's true. So let's move on to fantasy, and the season has come and gone for the Teal Sports Talk 2018-2019.
It's not officially over yet. but
it's coming to an end. This is the last podcast before it ends.
Is it? Isn't it a 2-week thing?
No, it's a 1-week thing. Thank you for everyone. Yeah, thank you for everyone who joined the league this year.
You're a liar.
You're a liar.
No, I'm not.
Go.
March 25th to April 6th. Come on.
April 6th.
That's 2 weeks.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
6 days in the month of April and the 30th, and then...
Okay, well, I'm just saying, thank you for everyone who came out this year, and every year we're going to be doing this. Maybe for basketball next year, we'll see. Definitely, we're going to be doing football if you want to do that. But yeah, hockey every single year. It was fun. Thank you for everyone joining, and Beverly Hills, man, man, it's a back and forth, rough and tumble type of series, dude. Honestly, you have a great team, full of sleepers.
Yeah, he's got a really good team there.
And hopefully I can pull up the W.
I already found that out, that he has a pretty damn good team. Reid-Foley, my man, I mean, we're going to have a good series here. Obviously...
You're beating them right now by 20 or 19.
Yeah, that as we've seen before, that can change real quick. So I'm not sitting back at all there. But yeah, it's been a fun time. Yeah. I really enjoyed doing the fantasy this year, and like you said, we're definitely doing this again next year. And,
for sure.
And it's going to be a lot of fun.
Do you have the Subways app?
Damn right, get points for that.
How many times do you go a week?
Just like whenever I go to work.
7 days.
7 days.
5 days.
Work 7 days a week. Wow.
My God.
Blue Jays are fired up, ready to go. Anyways, we're going to go to the podcast questions now. And here we go. All right, we have actually quite a few questions on here. We actually have 4. But Pata kills. Which matchups do you like for the Raptors in the postseason? Well, we've already talked about who the teams are. Now let's talk about who our favorites would be to face. I don't want to see Detroit just for the fact of Dwayne Casey, and he probably knows the ins and outs of the Toronto Raptors.
I don't want to see Miami.
Right. So you want to face either Brooklyn or Orlando?
Or Charlotte. I mean...
I can't see Charlotte getting in there. As much as they've been good lately.
Okay, well, until they're eliminated, we'll throw them in there. Either Charlotte or Orlando, but realistically, who would you rather face? Either Miami or Brooklyn? Because I don't know if you... But Miami, man, they were a pain in Philadelphia's side last year in the first round.
They really were. I mean, they're not as good as they were last year, and the Raptors cleaned their house in Miami, I think it was, without Kawhi or Lowry, somebody like that. So, but I don't know. Again, that might not be the case all the time.
I wouldn't want to see Brooklyn or Detroit, Miami, Charlotte, or Orlando.
Those 3 teams there. Yeah. I do agree 100%. Those are my teams that I'd rather face. Other than Brooklyn, just because Brooklyn's a team who can shoot the 3, and Detroit obviously has the 2 big men
that we can't defend.
Right.
Yeah.
Roderick, how do you manage keeping track of the Blue Jays, Leafs, and Raptors all at the same time, especially if all 3 teams are playing on the same day? I really have to flip a lot of channels really fast. Every time there's a whistle in a certain game, I try and flip it to the other way. It's a mission.
Or just watch the game in 6 if you can't catch one of the games.
Well, I try to stay up to date with all of them, and if I miss something, I'm kind of angry about it, But I do my best. I mean, as much as I would love 3 TVs all in one just to have them all on, but it's...
Or why not? Just why can't maybe the Leafs miss the playoffs for a couple years so you'll be more inclined to watch the Raptors?
No.
No. I'm joking. No.
Raptor Pride, what are your thoughts on Kawhi playing 4 games in a row? Well, we already touched on this. Happy. That's all I got to say. We're happy it's happening. Roderick, what happened with Tavares in the shootout against the Fires? I had probably just hit some piece of the ice, and
I didn't even see that.
Yeah, he came down in the shootout, and the puck just started bouncing on him, and he lost possession. Didn't get a shot on
net. So he had the goalie, like he deked out the goalie?
No, he didn't even get to the hash marks.
And then it just bounced away from him?
Yeah.
Oh, so he didn't even get a shot?
No. Wow. It probably just hit a chunk of the ice, or something happened. Look, it happens.
Typical Flyers ice. Typical Flyers bias. Probably didn't Zamboni the ice on their side properly. Typical Flyers
blaming
fans.
the Zamboni. I love it.
Yeah. Broad Street this, Broad Street that. Broad Street this.
Oh my God. Getting a little angry at the end of the pod.
Guy there, dude, you know Philly's like this. Oh, yeah. They probably told the Zamboni, here's $20 American. Just don't Zamboni their ice, or just don't sweep it properly, so it bounces. I bet there was patches of ice all over the place. The Leafs coming down on their end and just didn't work.
I don't know how it's going to help their 8 points out of a playoff spot, but anyway,
they're doing whatever they can do to make the playoffs, and that's Philly in a nutshell. They don't care. They'll kill a baby to make the playoffs.
Oh my God,
that's them.
What?
That is them.
They kill a baby. Oh my God.
These are Flyers fans, dude.
I get that.
We know a Flyer fan.
Yeah, and I mean, he'd probably kill a baby to win a playoff
Probably.
series. Probably.
He lives down the street from me. He probably will. He probably will.
I can't.
But those Eagles fans.
Oh God! Don't even get me going on them and Cowboy fans. Let's not talk about football because I'm gonna get too fired up about all of it.
Yeah.
With the Giants being stupid and
getting an F. Did you actually see that when you're
No, I didn't look at it, but it probably is. I'm actually gonna have a look right now. I want to see.
Let's do it live on the pod here.
Free agency grades, great. That's
F.
That's fantastic. Probably.
Yeah, no, Well, can you blame them? Like, come on.
Dallas Cowboys. Who cares? There you are. Hold on. D. Close enough. Close enough to an F.
So you passed.
I guess, but barely. Sounds like New York Giants football right there. But anyways, thank you guys so much for listening to Season 2, Episode 12 of the Teal Sports Talk podcast. Evan and I really do thank your guys' support every single week. It really does mean a lot to us and all of that. And I'll talk to you guys. It's going to be a busy... Here comes the craziness that's going to begin for all of us.
Here comes all the jersey swaps
it's gonna
and
be
all the channel flipping.
Hey, there's going to be some days where it's going to be three videos a night.
Well, sometimes you're going to be talking about the Jays and you have a Raptors thing on you and halfway through. You're going to be
Sorry, I forgot to take this one off.
Could you imagine if you actually uploaded a video?
Well, I'd be pretty freaking clueless at that point. But now the Jays play today. Obviously, season opener, as we talked about earlier, between the Detroit Tigers and the Jays. Stroman and Jordan Zimmerman are the starters in today's game. Yeah. And as for the Raptors, like we said, they take on the Knicks tonight as well. And as for the Leafs, Saturday in Ottawa. So... I think I can speak for Evan when I say thank you guys so much for listening. And Evan and I will talk to you guys
next Wednesday.
There you go. So Evan and I will talk to you guys next Wednesday for the pod. We'll be talking about the first week of baseball, and we're that much closer to playoff time. We'll be breaking down the series because we might actually know who we're facing.
Possibly.
It might be locked in. For hockey?
I don't think so, but who knows?
Well, I don't know. We'll have to wait and see how it goes for hockey. And for basketball, it still might be a carousel down there at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. Thank you guys so much for listening. And Evan and I will talk to you guys on Wednesday.
Peace.